Hey everybody, it's Randy Ray again, the Literate Texan, and today I've got a video about my goals for 2025, both reading goals and goals for my channel. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe in setting specific reading goals in terms of how many books they're going to read per year. I get that. It's not a competition, but if it's fun for you to keep up with how many books you read each year and you're competing with yourself, I don't see anything wrong with it either. I watched a video not too long ago from a channel called Books and Things, which I think is a lovely channel, and everybody should watch her channel. She's a big fan of Victorian literature, and she goes all in with her goals. She's got little spreadsheets and little check boxes, and she sets a number of foreign books that she wants to read and has goals by specific genres. I'm not quite as goal oriented as all that, but I've definitely decided to be more intentional about my reading and my goals and what I'm going to do with the channel this year. Hopefully, if my health holds up, I'll be a lot more active this year than I was last year because let's face it, I joined Booktube to regain some of that pleasure I used to get from being a reader as a young boy. I've gotten to an age now where I realize that the most fun I've had in my life was when I was a kid doing my reading. So anyway, I've got a list of written goals here. And if they're not written down, they're not goals, right? That's what they taught me in the goal setting classes when I was in the business world. I also had a boss who told me that performance measured is performance improved. So if you want to read more books, one of the first steps in reading more books is to count how many books you read each year or each week or each month or whatever, but during a specific amount of time you track how many books you're going to read. I use Goodreads for this. I like Storygraph too. I don't think there's one has much of an advantage over another. I think Storygraph's probably a little more modern than Goodreads, but Goodreads is what I've always used and it's just easier. But I set my goal at 100 books for the year. That's 2 books per week. For someone who doesn't do much else besides read anymore, I don't think that's an unreasonable goal. In the past, I've set the goal at 50 books per year, but it is arbitrary. That doesn't account for how many pages each book is. There's a big difference between reading Lonesome Dove, for example, which is a good 1,100, 1,200 pages, and reading The Great Gatsby, which is probably about 200 pages. So there's a big difference in that. But yeah, so that's my first goal for the year is to read 100 books. Last year I read 120 something books, so I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be able to hit that pretty easily without even trying particularly hard because I try to read every day. My second goal for this year is, every February we host an event called Holmes is Where the Heart Is. It's a Sherlock Holmes reading event, and I was talking about the joy that I felt as a young reader. One of the most joyous reading experiences I had as a boy was reading Sherlock Holmes. And when I was growing up, I didn't think there was much to Sherlock Holmes beyond the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and the memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. That's because those were the collected editions that I had. I didn't know anything about the novels or anything. But one of my goals this year is to reread the entire canon, which means that I'm going to read all 56 short stories. There's 5 short story collections in the canon, and then there's 4 novels. And I've reread the canon a couple times over the last 5 or 10 years, but this year I definitely want to hit it again. I might ignore the other prompts in the event, Holmes is Where the Heart Is, just so that I can read through the entire canon. One of the big goals that was goal number 2 for the year. Goal number 3 for the year is I'm reading In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. I'm reading it over the course of the year with a bunch of other people. Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads is is helping me co-host this reading event, and I will be posting a monthly video about my progress with that. I am a little behind on it right now because I did have some health hiccups earlier this year, which resulted in me reading some easier stuff than In Search of Lost Time. Goal number 4, there's an event called June on the Range every June. Rather than try to come up with new westerns or follow a bunch of prompts, I think this year I'm just going to spend June rereading Lonesome Dove again. Lonesome Dove was just so fantastic that it definitely warrants a reread. I believe that I read Lonesome Dove in June not last year, but the year before that, although I could be mistaken. I may have read it last year. But anyway, Lonesome Dove's just too good to not read again. I've got the other 3 books in the Lonesome Dove series, the 2 prequels and the 1 sequel. I have it on good authority. They're not as good as Lonesome Dove. So rather than tackle one of those, I'm just going to reread Lonesome Dove this year. So that's a goal. And then this is a kind of a cool goal that I've got going on. My sister has never been much of a reader, and I've been hoping all my life to turn her on to the joys and the pleasures of reading. And she's agreed to buddy read 12 books with me this year, 1 each month. And so right now we're in the middle of a book together. In December of last year, we read an Ann Tyler book together called Celestial Navigation, which neither of us liked particularly well. It was kind of a downer of a book. Some of Ann Tyler's books are bummers. But right now we're reading, I think it's called We Are the Mulvaneys or We Are the Mullaneys by Joyce Carol Oates, I believe is the name of it. She's got a head start on this one for me. I sent her copy. One of the advantages to having a book club with 2 people in it, me and my sister, is that my sister's allowing me to choose all the books. So I'm trying to choose books that she's going to enjoy so that she participates and continues. But if I can turn her into a reader, then I will consider myself to have accomplished something with my life, okay? So, all right. And then I also want to read at least 2 novels by Charles Dickens this year. I love Charles Dickens. I don't know why I don't break open his books more often, but I don't know. I haven't decided which 2 yet. I think Nicholas Nickleby might be one of them, and I think I might read Great Expectations, but I reserve the right to change those. It'll be a while before I get to Dickens, at least a couple of months. And then my final reading goal for me personally, I love biographies, it turns out. And I've read a lot of genre fiction, crime novels, science fiction novels, fantasy novels. I love courtroom thrillers. But yeah, no, I really, I'm going to try to read at least half a dozen biographies this year because last year I read some biographies and really enjoyed them. So I'm going to continue to do that this year. I also have set some goals for the channel itself, okay? One of those goals is to make 365 videos this year. That means I'm going to make a video per day. Although I didn't start making a video per day on January 1st, which is what I would have needed to do if I wanted to make 365 videos all year long. So there are going to be some days this year where I might publish 2 videos or maybe even 3 videos. But there might also be some days when I don't publish at all. The goal is to publish an average of a video per day every day this year, or 365 videos. It'll be tricky to do. I've committed that even if I'm wound up in the hospital to make videos while I'm in the hospital. Brian Lee Durfee last year had some major health problems. Didn't stop him from making videos, although it did slow him down a little bit. But if Brian Lee Durfee can do it, I can do it too. One of my other goals for the channel, and this is one that I have a limited amount of control over, is I'd like to see my subscriber count get over 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, I have a limited amount of control over that. I can make the videos. I can hope that people like them and hit subscribe. But at the end of the day, this is one of those goals where you just do the right thing and hope that the outcome takes care of itself. We'll see at the end of the year how many subscribers I have. But right now my goal is 5,000. That's the magic number. And my final goal this year is I'm going to launch a Patreon, and I'm going to launch it fairly soon. One of the perks to being a patron of mine at Patreon is definitely going to be the bookmarks, which I got the artwork back on just a couple of days ago. A couple of viewers of my channel have already gotten to see the bookmarks. So far, the response to the new bookmarks has been unanimously positive. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm also going to work on getting some coffee mugs made too. I've really enjoyed my bookmarks and coffee mugs from Criminali's channel. And so I'm hoping to, follow suit. He's a good role model in terms of how to run a Patreon account. So I think so. So look for that to launch sometime within the next week or 2. But yeah, there will definitely be a way to support me financially. This is what I'm focused on these days, is my Booktube channel. And I was fortunate enough to have some people support me when I did a GoFundMe last year because I wasn't able to work very hard at my consulting work. This year, I want to turn my focus away from the consulting work as much as I can and turn it towards making Booktube. This this is Booktube is really what I enjoy. Reading is what I enjoy, and if I can find a way to entertain enough people that they think it's worthwhile to help support me a little bit financially doing so, then that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm no Jack Edwards. I don't expect to make Jack Edwards kind of money, but it would be nice if you get enough people on here who really like what you're doing to throw in a few dollars here or there, then that would be really nice. And it'll also enable me to make more videos. And if you like the content, that's good news for you. Anyway, that's it. That's a wrap up of my goals for my reading for 2020-25. It's also the goals that I've set for my channel for 2025. If you've set goals for your channel or for your own personal reading, I'd like to hear about them in the comments down below. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay hydrated and stay sexy, folks.